Hi, this is Steve Domenico with the Mangler, Matt Bessette, at CES 50, watching the co-main event, but we're going to have a little talk while we watch the fight, because Matt has got a big fight. Tough 27 finals.
Are we talking about me?
We're going to talk about you. The fight, if something goes on, we'll jump about it.
We're
going to talk about your big
time. I'm going to watch John. John cut his hair. You see that?
Yeah, I know.
John hasn't cut his hair in like 15 years.
So good right now. And so, how are you feeling? You had your first fight in January for UFC, what was it, 220?
Yes.
In 220 in Boston.
Yep.
You had a great fight there. You lost in unanimous decision, but that fight was definitely closer than what they scored.
Yeah.
The only thing they had on me was a bunch of takedowns, but your striking and everything else was right there. How are you feeling about that fight and leading into an actually fight that you had a proper training camp for?
Oh, it's night and day. It's going to be night and day. You know, taking a fight on 7 days' notice is...
Yeah, exactly.
It's no joke, especially if you're UFC debut, you know? So whatever shape you're in at that point, that's what shape you're going to fight at. So I had to cut like 6 pounds more than I usually do at that point. It is what it is, but you know, it was the first time I felt actually tired in a fight since my second fight that I ever had. So, you know, that was something new to me. But, you know, other than that, I felt really, really good out there, and I can't wait to get back in there.
You represented well. I mean, you had, like, you're fighting in Boston. You're fighting for UFC.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! Wells just took
this kid's power.
Big, yeah, he does have that power, man. And it was shown when he fought Gary Belletto, man. He, you know, big up and coming with Gary Belletto, and this dude shattered his jaw basically.
He just hit John in the chin 3 times.
Yeah. And now he's got top control. What's he in? Half guard or mount?
I can't really see. Oh, what's up, man?
Side control right now. This is awesome. So you have this big fight. Who are we looking at? Oh my God, it's Nick Newell. We got the whole crowd over here.
And then I saw Manley's fighting, and then I saw you, and I was like, oh.
Awesome. Well, we're going to sit here and we're going to talk about this fight as it's going. So I interviewed Nick a couple of weeks ago. He's getting his big shot, just like you got your big shot. How you feeling about the Connecticut boys stepping up and actually the UFC taking eyes on the Northeast now?
It's about fucking time. It's about time. It's about time. You know, Nick's got his chance. It'd been better if he got straight to the UFC. I think he's earned it without a doubt. But you know, if he's got to do this, he's gonna get one more win before he get in there. Right now he's 14-1. 15-1 is gonna look just that much better.
Excellent. And your experience on the Contender Series, it's just a great week. You go down there a few weeks before the actual fight, and you get to go to the Performing Institute. How did you feel actually getting that call up? Because you were supposed to fight for CES and defend your title then, and then you get that call up. What's that feeling like to finally get the call by Sean or whatever that you're fighting in the UFC? Or Contender Series, which is
the Contender Series was awesome. It was very, very similar to having your actual fight in UFC, in a sense that you work with the same people. You know, you talk to Sean throughout it. The same people you work with that work for the UFC, you meet them for the Contender Series, you talk to them for the UFC. So when I fought for the first time for the UFC, it was like, well, cool, I'm fighting a UFC cage. But at the same time, I've already talked to all these people. I've already worked with all these people. So it wasn't too new to me, you know. But you can tell that the level of professionalism that the UFC displays is unparalleled. I mean, with that kind of money, that kind of time, that kind of experience.
They make you feel special when you do.
Well, for sure. If you need anything,
Wells is teeing up on Manley right here against the cage.
Clinch up, John. Clinch up.
Yeah, man. Oh, he just throws Manley down.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Excuse me.
No, that's all right. Oh, Manley switching for an armbar, but
no, he lands it.
Oh, he's close right here.
Submission of the year if he gets this.
The end of the first round.
Belly out.
Whoa! This is awesome. Interviewing and talking with Nick Newell while we're watching CES 50. John Manley taking on Jeremiah Wells. Man, this is awesome. All right, so you have this big fight on the 6th, tough 27 finals. We got Joe Giannetti. That is going to be. He could be on that card. He could be. You know.
He's probably. I don't know what happens.
Yep.
But he's probably going to be on the card, given he's already won in the Ultimate Fighter. And I think that a lot of those guys usually get at least one fight in the UFC. You know,
No matter, if he had that
I'm
great.
going to assume he's on the card. You
Definitely.
know?
Whether he wins or loses, he'll be on that card representing.
I think so, yeah.
All right. Actually, he's still got that semifinal fight to go on to see if he makes it to the finals, which that would be very special. I mean, you fighting on the card, him having, that's huge for New England.
Yeah,
huge for one of our guys to be on the, the contender series, not the contender series.
Yeah, it's going to be the second time that there's going to be some New England guys representing. We represented in Boston, but we're going to be representing in Vegas.
Excellent.
And, who fought in? Chris Curtis doesn't represent New England, but he kind of does.
Oh yeah, he's our
Rico
champion.
fought the other day, representing in Vegas. Rebello and I fought at the same time in contender series, representing in Vegas. So New England's getting around, and it's good for the sport. It's good for the area. Excellent.
And there's fighters like you and Nick Newell that have brought the eyes here. Being great guys and just tutoring the younger folks coming up. You know what I mean? And you guys are showing the way, and you're opening doors, helping open doors for so many young fighters that are on their way to the contender. Last question. You mentioned Chris Curtis. Last thing I'm going to ask you is, what do you think about that whole thing, and what do you think about what Chris Curtis? What do you think?
At the end of the day, we don't know, what's going on in his household or, in his personal life. So it's hard for us to make a decision for him. We could always say like, you should do this, you should do that. But like, guess what? We don't know.
Yes.
But at the same time, I hope that he doesn't, turn 50 years old one day and go, fuck.
Exactly.
I shoulda, coulda, woulda. He's in a great position right now, at least in his career. That I feel like if he were to step away right now, it'd be something that haunts him later on down the road. And he's so talented. His boxing is very high level for MMA. He's entertaining, and I always learn something from Chris when he fights. So, oh my God, this guy's power.
Wells is like
John's got a chin in the
Yeah,
half,
he
though.
does. He's sticking in there, man.
Either way, if whatever decision Chris makes, it's going to be the right decision. I think so.
And New England and beyond is fully behind him. He's got some time to think about it. He did have an injury in there. So, things settle. Things can change in a couple of months. And you know what? The UFC could call him down the line. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
But, kudos to Chris Curtis. Great fight. And we're behind you, Chris. And from the Mangler right here, cage side with Domenico 101 and Regional Fight Sports, and Eric Badon, who gets his Nick Newell, who will be fighting on the 24th of July, week 6. So from CES 50, cage side, Matt Bessette, the Mangler. See him July 6th. Tough finals, 27. We'll see ya.